House committee investigating the January 6th insurrection is set to hold its third hearing in just minutes. Joining me now with a preview, ABC News White House correspondent Mary Alice Parks, former national political director for the Hillary Clinton campaign, Amanda Renteria, and also former Trump administration official Sarah Isgur is still with us, and former federal prosecutor Renato Mariotti. Great to have all of you as we wait, possibly 6 minutes away if they start on time. Mary Alice, let's just set the scene for us. You're there on the Hill. What's the mood like? Who have you seen? What have been the conversations in the halls? Because those are always the best conversations.
Yeah, well, everyone, like Sarah was talking about earlier today, really taking note of the fact that these are two extremely well-known Republicans who will be the star witnesses today. These are Republicans who so many members of Congress have worked with in the past, who have had conversations with, who are well respected in conservative circles here on Washington. And that was, of course, intentional. The committee has tried over the course of all these hearings to tell the story through conservative voices, through Republican voices, both inside Trump's inner circle and outside of it. And I think that that's a big part of the conversation today. They want to be able to butt up what the testimony from these witnesses straight against the conversations that so many Republicans are still having on Capitol Hill, where they are casting doubt on elections, casting doubt on the last elections. And so I think there's a lot of buzz right now about what will happen in the days after this hearing, where all of those Republican members of Congress are going to be asked questions about what was said in the room today.
Sarah, most Republican lawmakers have refused to acknowledge the validity of these hearings. We've been talking about this all day. Will the details about what Pence and his family experienced the day of the insurrection make them pay attention, change their minds?
No, because again, I think that they feel like this has not been an adversarial process, meaning cross-examination, the things you would see at a trial, the things we even saw in Trump's impeachment trial, which I think did lend it a lot of credibility. Republicans argue that this doesn't have that credibility because there is no one skeptical of the thesis who's there to push back, to ask questions. Now, as Mary Alice said, when you have someone with the credibility of a Mike Ludig up there, who is considered, to the right of Chief Justice Roberts, telling them his views of the law, his views of what was happening in the hours running up to Mike Pence giving that speech, that should have credibility. They should be asked about it more. But again, the pushback has all been about process, not about substance.
And clearly, Amanda, these hearings should not be partisan, and we're here to find the facts of what happened that day. But a majority of the committee is comprised of Democrats. So what do you think about the committee's makeup here? Will it create bias or at least give that impression?
I think it was the only way to really have the kind of conversation that can lay out the full story. It does allow people to testify and know that they can really have the time, the space to give the full facts of what they were experiencing. And I think we have to remember that this hearing isn't just about convincing Republican leaders, but it's really setting history straight and having the American people tune in to understand what really happened as well, putting it in a clear, concise kind of way. And there is a clarity around here about the role that Trump played in those moments when people's lives were at stake. And you can see it here in the pictures that people felt their lives were at stake. And now what you'll hear today is what was the conversation happening at those very moments where people were wondering not only the course of history for this country, but for people's lives in the room at that very moment, and what was Trump doing. And we're going to hear that today from respected people who are having conversations to the setup of January 6th, but also in the moment and the times after as well.
Renato, from your experience, from what you know of this process, could the evidence presented today lead to any new charges in this investigation?
Yeah, I do think that there's been a renewed focus on the pressure campaign towards Mike Pence by former President Trump. And I think that's because Trump was really at the center of that. And this testimony is going to help demonstrate, you heard a moment ago that Mr. Eastman's legal theories were bunk. I think we're going to hear that from former Judge Ludig, from Mr. Jacobs today. And I think the questions today are going to try to help establish that really the former president was receiving a wide array of advice from lots of respected folks that he should have trusted that this was unconstitutional, this plan to overturn the election using Mike Pence. And so I could see potentially this being the basis of a obstruction of official proceeding or conspiracy to defraud charge as a federal judge found in California. But I will say there are obviously issues there because Trump was receiving legal advice from another lawyer, John Eastman, not nearly as respected or decorated as Judge Luttig, but nonetheless as somebody who former President Trump clearly sided with. And
Renato, at the end of the day, how likely is a criminal case here going to be possible when we're talking about former President Donald Trump?
I think any potential criminal case against former President Trump is highly problematic. I do not, it's going to be difficult. And I do not envy the situation that Attorney General Garland is in, because this seems to me at best a coin flip kind of a case. And in my experience at the Justice Department, that's not the kind of case that they bring. They usually are looking for sure bang winners. That's why they win almost all their cases.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.